It's the savvy side of 9 to 5. Listen.
Bueller.
Laugh. And learn.
Negotiation. This is what you do in business.
This is The Focus Group with Tim Bennett.
Staunch.
And John Nash.
Keep your clothes looking neat and clean.
We're all business. Except when we're not.
Welcome to The Focus Group. John Nash here with my good friend and co-host, Mr. Tim Bennett. Hello. FocusGroupRadio.com is where we want you to go to get all the information about our show, our audio feed, our live feed. If you're tuning in on Facebook Live or YouTube, feel free to call us anytime you like and join the discussion at 877-962-6846. And we want to thank everybody once again for downloading and listening to our Tuesday audio podcast, Unbuttoned. I think this one this week was very much like a kind of a caught our eye. It was a windowless planes. I almost forget what we did. It was
lighter fare.
It was lighter fare.
It was windowless planes, Trump and marijuana.
Trump legalizing marijuana, and I forgot what the second story was.
Oh my goodness.
I know. It's like we interviewed Dick Cavett years and years ago on our old platform, and he told us a funny story, which I completely sympathize with. Every night after his TV show, his talk show, he'd go home, and the doorman would say to him, "Mr. Cavett, how was your show?" It was fantastic. It was a great show. Who'd you have on? I don't remember.
That's happened to me a couple of times. Remember who you had on 2 weeks ago? I'm like, no, can you fill me in a little more?
Yeah. Yeah.
And not that you don't respect or enjoy having them, but
you're on to
kind
the
of
next.
in mode, and then you're on to the next.
Tim and I live in the future. As much as Tim doesn't like science fiction, you're very much in the future. You're 2 weeks down the path, etc.
Science fiction.
Hey, before we get the show rolling, but let's say what's going on today, actually. So I'm sorry, I take that back. We do have some great guests joining us later in the hour. The founders of a vodka called Equality Vodka. And the proceeds from the sale of the vodka goes to support multiple LGBTQ charities around the country. Specifically, they've dealt with some Texas stuff and a couple other states. But they'll be here at the end of the show. They're going to be with Kara, our friend Kara, who last time she was here, she was doing Cinco de Derby. You had just had your back surgery. We did
tequilas and bourbons.
Tequilas and bourbons, and it was Dolce Vita tequila, which is fantastic.
The Litchfield bourbon.
The Litchfield bourbon.
Last time I was in Connecticut, I saw it, and I was going to buy it. No, I saw they had the bourbon for sale in the store I went into, but I didn't get it.
Well, you're very particular about your bourbon.
I would like to try it.
Yeah,
I'd like to go on the tour, but
really
I wasn't near Litchfield. I was in Southbury.
So when we arrived at the studio today, we had a package from one of our fans, a listener, I think a listener from Texas, if I'm not mistaken. And we got this beautiful little note card, and guess what? It's written in beautiful cursive.
Right.
Which, as Tim says, the handwriting's spectacular. It's like
handwriting's nice. The mystery person did not put a return a name on the package that it came in, and then when we're reading the end, 3 of us came up with different names. One of us thought it said Ryan. One of us thought it said Alan. And I think it said a fan.
And the more I look at this, I think it says a fan. Yeah.
So whoever the fan is, thank you for the cookies, and you should let us know who you are.
Yeah. So this is a flavor we did not get to test two weeks ago when we had our Oreo thing, and it's cherry cola Oreo. So are we going to give it a whirl?
Yeah, so if you remember, we did kettle corn.
So this is cherry cola.
We did kettle corn and pina colada, and we weren't able to find or I was not able to find the cherry cola.
Oh boy.
But these were the 3 flavors that are being voted on that these fans submitted. The fans submitted flavors.
And they're vegan.
Well,
the cream is vegan, I guess, right?
Yeah, the whole they're all vegan, and you have until the end of June to vote, and they're going to decide which flavor becomes a permanent fixture with Oreo, of these cherry cola.
Eric, what is your, are you an Oreologist?
Oreographer.
Oreographer.
Yeah. Oreographer? I thought you said you were an Oreologist or something. Didn't he?
It's a profession with many changing names. So we have Garrett on audio. We have John on video. They keep the ship on course. Thank you guys for being with us today. We're going to give you cookies in the booth so you could sample these as well. I think you do need to sample them and give us your opinion. What do you think, Tim?
It definitely has a cola flavor. Mm-hmm. And there's little fizzies, like the firecracker ones, to give you, I guess, the soda fizz. Here's my problem.
I get cherry cola, mild cherry cola.
Here's my problem with a lot of these kind of this off flavor. 'Cause I say this is an off flavor.
Off flavor. It's an
Garrett will
off.
probably agree with me. When you have an Oreo, there's nothing better than Oreos and cold milk.
Yeah.
And dip it in. So I want something, whether it's the birthday cake Oreo or it's something that goes with milk. I'm not so sure the cherry cola Oreo goes with milk. So that's just because that's how I would like to have them. Or I guess you could put vanilla ice cream in this. Can you hear the popping? It's all in my mouth.
You know,
Do you agree with the milk analogy?
Yeah, I mean, like a rookie like you would dunk it in their milk, but
What would you do?
boy, that was a
what you
slap.
really do is you take bite a half of one and then take a drink of milk and mix it in your mouth.
But
You get the full milk explosion.
I don't know about that. That to me sounds more amateur than the dipping.
I like the dipping because you got to have skill to dip it,
Yeah.
get the perfect amount of milk absorption, and then you got to kind of balance it so you don't drip until you get in the mouth. You need skill for that.
Yeah, or a professional does it cleanly and bites it and drinks the milk.
That's like a food eater, one of those professional food eaters. Bite, chug, bite, chug.
You gotta watch Garrett. You gotta watch Garrett and John. And Garrett always has like, I never thought there was a rookie move with an Oreo, but apparently
Well,
there
now
are
you know.
amateur and rookie moves, and one of them is not, you know, there's this. I like the studied approach of a small bite, then the milk comes, and then you get the rest of the cookie.
So we'll have to, during break, we'll give these to Garrett and John in the booth and see what they come up with. But what's your pass, fail?
It's a pass, but I'm not overly enthusiastic about the flavor. Now, kettle corn, I took that package home. That did not
You did?
last. Bob did not like kettle corn, but I did. Kettle corn. And, you know, if we ever, Bob's favorite cookie is Oreo, the mint ones.
The thin
But
mint.
the thin ones. So that he'll buy the family pack of that, man, and that never sticks around.
Those are good.
They're very good. So I want to thank our fan who sent this and this beautiful little thank you note, thanking us for the show, and he was a listener since our days on the old Sirius platform.
Send two other flavors too, which we tried.
Yeah,
Kettle corn and
no, it was
fireworks.
salted caramel
Salted caramel and fireworks.
and 4th of July, the fireworks cookies. Yeah, we've had both of those at different times. This is the unique one
That's
that
the
we
new
were
one.
missing. Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you.
Not bad, not bad. All right, so we got a shop talk today. We had an Oreo tasting. Already the show's off to a dynamic start here on Happy Pride, June.
Well, the leprechaun took 8 minutes to come out.
The leprechaun.
Leprechaun. Leprechaun? Did I say leprechaun?
You can't, the problem with the leprechaun is there's only 4 weekends a year, or 4 weeks out of the year you can do him legitimately. And then it's a tired
What
character.
about coming out month?
And I think it's a
That's not Pride.
That's not Pride. Yeah, Happy Pride. It's a tired character. It tires quickly, is the way I want to say it. By July, if you're doing Happy Pride, people are like, you know what, off to the side with you.
Although, if you're a company, there are 11 other months to advertise, not just June.
Hey, which reminds me, one of our listeners who won, by the way, thanks everybody for playing when Deep Discount gave us the copies of Blu-ray and DVD copies of Cold Turkey to give away, not just on our show, but on Unbuttoned as well. I sent all the discs out. Thanks everybody for playing. But one of our listeners asked, besides the show, what we do. And it made me think that, a lot of people don't know what we do, and we actually do a great deal of consulting. And a lot of the consulting we've done in the past has been sometimes with general market companies that just want answers to questions about advertising and marketing, and sometimes it's LGBT specific. But we're available. so drop us a line, right?
Yeah. And we'll tell you the way it is, which gets us uninvited to some places. At times.
And actually, it's a good team because Tim used to be a director of marketing and advertising. So from a corporate point of view, he's a great listener, knows what the client needs to have internally to put the campaigns through. And I'm a creative director and a art director and own an agency. So I'm the guy that supposedly comes up with the ideas. But it's a great combination. And if your brand needs us, we're happy. But as Tim said, you're going to hear it straight.
Yeah. So we have a caller, Billy, from New York. Billy, how are you?
Oh, you guys are truly evil queens. I'm just out of the dental chair.
Dental chair.
Yeah, you're referring to
Yes.
the first thing out of a teeth cleaning you want is an Oreo cookie,
oh, no,
right?
no, worse than that. I'm getting fitted for my royal crown.
Oh, really? I've never
Oh,
had.
yes.
Have you had crowns?
Oh my God, I have more crowns than you can imagine. I have more crowns than a queen.
Oh, whoa.
Ba-dum-bum. I got fake teeth. What were they? Implants. I have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 implants and a bunch of crowns.
Is that what you got, Billy?
Well, it's going to be my first one, and, well, all I can say is the dentist is damn cute.
Yeah.
You know what the problem is with those crowns? Your insurance only wants to cover, if you even have dental insurance, they only want to cover about half.
Oh, this is all out of pocket.
Yeah.
'Cause, yeah.
It's expensive.
Well, it's crazy.
It's
But
expensive.
I have to have a crown to be the queen.
Exactly.
Anyway, we're off track here. Tim, yes, speaking of vodka, I still have a bottle of our Catskill vodka for you.
Catskill vodka.
Yes,
Catskill?
Made 2 miles from my house. The guy is from Russia, and he makes some awesome, awesome hooch.
Really? Is it made? Is it made from local potatoes, or what is it? Corn?
Sometimes he makes it from apples. Sometimes he makes it from other fruits. It's quite remarkable.
Wow.
That's interesting, Billy. Up at Hudson, there's a distillery that does. I think they call it Hudson Spirits, and they have a vodka, but
Hudson
it's
hooch?
But it's an apple based. I didn't know you could do that.
I didn't know either.
But it's an apple based vodka.
He made a bottle of whiskey for me. I took up to Provincetown last September, and whew, yeah, that was a kicker for T-Dance.
At the boat slip.
Well, that's P-Town for
So,
you.
Billy, are you going to march in your pilots organization for Pride this year?
Like you and I have talked off of here. Forgive me if I'm still slurring with the Novocaine. I don't know, John. I'm thinking maybe just go to Fire Island.
They changed the route this year. I don't know if you saw that.
It starts off, what was it, 17th Street, and then it goes down to the Village, and then up 5th.
Yep, and it's a shorter route, but it starts in the most congested streets, and then it expands as the parade goes on. So by starting down on 17th, going to the Village, it's like they're narrower streets, and then when it goes up 5th, that's the big wide thing. We'll see how it goes.
Go to Fire Island any weekend, March.
Oh, listen to this one here, preaching.
It's important to march. You can go to Fire Island anytime. Get a cocktail. March.
I don't know. I marched last year with Bob.
March again.
And I had fun. But it was
we'd have to put you in one of those wheelchairs with your back.
I wasn't going to march too far.
You'd be like Dina Martina going, hello.
They could put a bad wig on and a shawl and then roll Tim down with a little focus group sign. That could be.
Yeah.
Tim, did you make out with your lawnmower?
It's a longer story, but at the end of the day, I asked. So I went on Facebook and asked people if I should get an electric mower, or get the battery operator, get a gas. And I ended up talking to. Yesterday, I was out trying to cut my lawn with a borrowed mower, and ran into a guy that I'm going to hire to cut the lawn named Ronaldo.
Well, there we go.
So the mower is going to be on hold for a year.
I don't know about hold. That sounds like the mower problem's been fixed.
Yeah, mower problem's been fixed. He
Yeah,
made fun of my
Ronaldo-
lawn and made fun of my cutting skills as I was limping around. Because not only did I have a bad back, I have a bad knee. He was watching me go around the yard, told me what a mess I was making. So I said, well, how much would you charge me to cut it? So he gave me a very fair price, and I said, done.
Wow.
So that's it.
I just heard the story before we went on air, and I thought, what an industrious guy.
Yeah.
Does he clean pools, too?
He cleans fish tanks, everything.
Yeah.
So, well, thanks for calling, Billy.
Yeah, I'll catch you guys. Tim, send me a message where I can send this bottle to.
All right, I'll shoot you a note.
Thanks,
All right.
Billy. Have a
Later.
great one.
Happy
Feel
Pride.
good. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride. Happy Pride.
Top of the pride to you. See that? We haven't done that one in too long. Top of the pride to
pride.
you. All right, so what caught your eye?
What caught your eye? Here's what Tim and John found.
So, I actually, I was a little irritated with some of the fake news. Isn't that what they're called? CNN and MSNBC.
Yes.
They stole my story. I thought I was unique in digging this up. So the headline is, meet the guys who tape Trump's papers back together. Have you heard about this?
I read this and I was kind of surprised, but not.
So there's something called the Presidential Act, and essentially what that is that whoever occupies the White House, that you have to preserve all memos, letters, emails, papers, anything the president touches, and then you have to send them to the National Archives for safekeeping. They use them for an historical record, or they use them in the presidential museums or whatever, but we're talking about what's going on now since we have a new occupant in the White House, Mr. Trump. So apparently when President Obama was there, they said everything was color-coded in folders. This was a memo, this was decision, everything was perfectly color-coded. Everything that came in to his office and his desk immediately came out, whether it was signed or affixed or whatever they had to do to it, and it was just a very simple process. Well, apparently, anytime Mr. Trump reads anything, he rips it up into a million little pieces and throws it either on the floor or in the garbage can. And so they kept trying to tell him, you can't do that. It doesn't matter even if you get a thank you note. He had a note. They said he had a letter from Chuck Schumer. He ripped it up in tiny little pieces and just threw it away. They said, no, you can't keep doing that. We have to, because you're breaking the law. The Presidential Record Act says we have to keep all these things. So Trump didn't listen, of course. So what happened is all these staffers would go around and gather up at the end of the day out of the garbage can and all of these papers on the floor and send them over across the street to the executive building, to the archivist there. A guy named Solomon Lardy is one of the guys. And the other guy, I think his name was Reginald Young. And I said a whole staff of people taping all day long, taping these notes together. And then they would have to send them over. Now, that's not one of them. That's just an example if you're watching online. But they said that they would then have to send them back to the archives, and then they would get labeled and put in the correct places. And they said they can't figure out why he's doing this. They said Lardy's been working there for over 30 years. And the other guy, Young, they said they have, in all their years of working with all the different presidents, have never come across anything like this. They said the other issue is they get paid a lot of money to be archivists, and they said the fact that we've got all these people with Scotch tape just taping these notes together is kind of crazy. So they made a comment about it. And a couple of weeks ago, they were mysteriously fired. They were all fired. Oh, boy. Because they made a comment about it. They said there was no warning, no explanation. The human resource person from the White House, Irene Parada, just sent them a note and said their services were no longer needed. Lardy was 54, Young was 48.
Wow.
And so it was Reginald Young, as I mentioned. They said they kept asking, why are we being let go? They never had any explanation. They've gone to the press to let them know what has gone on, which is how this story leaked. They said they never talked about anything personal. They didn't leak any information about the notes. They said they've done this for every president since Reagan. And the only explanation they got is, you are here to serve at the pleasure of the president. Goodbye. And they said all their things were gathered up. They were escorted out of the office. Secret Service took them out. Their things were sent to their homes. They lost all their security clearances, and they've been moved along.
Wow.
I think that's the strangest part of the whole thing.
Now, I knew the first half of the story, which was the mad dash to rebuild with Scotch tape, everything he rips apart.
Trump the Ripper.
I had no idea that they were fired for it.
Yeah. Well, they don't know why they were fired, but they said, you're paying us a lot of money to be archivists.
We should archive.
We shouldn't be taping things together. Our time could be used best elsewhere doing other things. And so, of course, that's what
It's indicative of how the president views the office. Yeah. It's an office.
Disrespectful.
If he had a paper shredder there, it might have been more effective, right?
Well, they'd be taping that together. What caught your eye?
Well, mine is an advertising caught my eye, and I'm probably late to the game because once I did the research, I'll back up and say this. Allstate has a campaign using an actor named Dean Winter who portrays the character Mayhem. Mayhem, stuff happens, right? So you know how we always say at the end of our show, don't text and drive, arrive alive. Right. So there's a new Allstate ad with Mayhem, and the actor, well, John's going to play this for us actually, but to set it up, the actor, there's a guy in a car driving, and he's rummaging around while he drives, and then it cuts to this guy who's playing like he's this guy's cell phone. He goes, I'm your cell phone, and I'm playing a game of hide and seek. And you know, over here, and then the minute the guy finds Mayhem or his phone, he has an accident. And it's a fun way of putting a human face on a very human behavior that causes a lot of trouble. But then I did some digging on the actor who does Mayhem, and it's fascinating. So let's watch the Allstate. This is one of my favorite Mayhem spots.
I'm your phone, stuck down here between your seat and your console, playing a little hide and seek. Cold. Warmer. Warmer. Up. Boiling. Jackpot. And if you've got cut rate car insurance, you could be picking up these charges yourself. So get Allstate, where agents help keep you protected from mayhem. Like me.
Mayhem is everywhere.
Okay.
They pay for that, though, I wonder?
If they what?
Is that considered distracted driving?
Yeah, all right, so some people criticize that ad as being not mayhem, not something random that happens to you, but it is distracted driving, and it's the driver doing it. It's not an accidental thing. But I still liked it, and I love the, I'm playing a little game of hide and seek, like the way he does it. Turns out the actor has had a very rough time of it. So I found this article about Dean Winter, the guy that plays Mayhem, diagnosed with a bacterial infection in 2009 after working on the pilot for Happy Town. He was on the show Oz, HBO star, says he was pronounced dead in an ambulance before spending 3 weeks in intensive care. I got really sick and was told I was never going to walk again. I was out of the game for 3 years, 17 surgeries, 9 amputations. Darkest time of his life. Winters was convinced his acting days were over. I was feeling sorry for myself. I had lost toes, half a thumb, and the tip of my nose had fallen off, all from this bacterial infection.
Oh my gosh.
And this nurse took him one day to the children's burn unit in the hospital he was in, and he saw 8 kids with prosthetic legs playing soccer, and he thought, that's it. That's the moment when I turned everything around and decided to learn how to walk again. People in the industry reached out to him. Former Oz producer Tom Fontana gave him a pep talk. Tina Fey, when she was producing 30 Rock, said, whenever you're ready, come on the show. So he actually went on the show. They put work gloves on my hands because both of them had been cut open. They put me in a cast because they had cut off my baby toe, and she leaned me up against a wall, and I did a scene, basically dressed in a cast, whatever. Dennis Leary put him in an episode of Rescue Me, and then Allstate came along. And here's the advertising thing that I love. Here's what he says. I'm indebted to them for life, because they believed in him. He didn't want to do their commercials before he got this illness. Afterwards, they came back to him and they're like, look, we think you're going to be the perfect Mayhem character. And he's a New Yorker by trade, and he did it. And he said, I will do anything for those people. He says, they came to me knowing I was in the gutter, and they breathed new life in me and helped restore confidence in myself. So I just thought...
It's a good feel-good story.
It's a fascinating story. I mean, did you...
I didn't know
and of course, it's 9 years ago because it said he got the bacterial infection in 2009, but 9...
What a random thing to, you get something like that, and you have a choice to either deal with it or fall in depths of depression, right?
And I guess he fell into the depths of depression first, and then kind of seeing those kids with the prosthetic legs. And so I watch him on these commercials, and now that I know this backstory, I'm like, go.
You have to pay attention now.
You go. I mean, they're very careful about stunt doubles and stuff. He used to do a lot of his own stunt work, but he will tell directors or writers, I can do this, I can't do that. So there's a scene where he comes rolling out of the car that was probably a stunt double. He did probably walk towards the camera, but, he has to be careful. So very cool. All right, many of you know that we have a lot of friends and sponsors here on the Focus Group, and they're responsible for us coming to you every week, either through the magic of YouTube or, of course, SoundCloud or Apple Podcast. And we're welcoming back for another week one of our favorite sponsors from last year, and we love them, and it's Mangrate, M-A-N-G-R-A-T-E. This is an interesting thing. So there's 2 sides to this product. There's the science side, and then there's the eating side. I always take the science side. So Mangrate is a great gift for Father's Day. I'd like to expand the holiday and call it Griller's Day. Griller's Day could be any day of the week, right? You got to lift. They're heavy.
I was going to say I'm having trouble with it. I have a bad back.
They're very heavy.
There it is. It was stuck in the box. Oh.
So Mangrate is 2 cast iron pieces. They go on your grill. And here's the science part. This is why I love it. Because they're cast iron and they're made in the USA, so as you said last week,
avoid the Trump tariff.
They're avoiding the tariffs. They evenly distribute the heat of your grill, whatever your grilling surface is, across the entire grate. And my other favorite part is appearance. They give those beautiful sear marks. But you like it for the flavor and what it does for the meat.
I like it for the flavor. I mentioned Kip and Mike last week that ordered these, and they have an argument about who's going to clean them.
Well, it comes with the wire brush, right?
And so you got to get the wire brush. And Kip usually has to clean them, he says. But I just take the wire brush and just brush it like you would the top of your grill. So I don't go crazy with cleaning it.
You have to leave the seasoning on, right?
You have to leave it on, I think. That's what I do. And I've seen a number of people at some of these home stores buying the fake imitation ones. Don't do it. It's like I always equate this to LL Bean boots. If you want to get the bean hunting shoe with the rubber and the leather, get the bean shoe and pay for it. Don't go get the imitations.
Don't get the beam.
Sporto.
B-E-A-M.
Fall apart. So Mangrate, as John said, is a great gift for any time, but particularly around Father's Day. What's the code to
okay, so if you
discount?
use the code DAD, DAD18, DAD18, you'll get 40% off all grates and premium brushes at mangrate.com, mangrate.com. There are multiple sizes. I think this is the 8-inch one. I'm almost pretty sure it is the 8-inch one. And there's 2 that come in it with the brush, but they have other sizes, and you could buy a bunch to put together to cover your grilling surface. Everybody we know who's gotten these, and we ourselves love them. They work great. And as I said, the science appeals to me. I love that heat distribution thought. And then Tim tells us about seasoning and
cooking with even cooking
food. Yeah, so
you don't have any cold spots on your grill.
So it's DAD18 gets you 40% off all Mangrate grills and premium brushes, and it's mangrate.com.
Great. So our business birthday today.
Everyone does celebrity birthday greetings, but the Focus Group is the only show in the universe that celebrates business birthdays.
His birthday is actually Thursday on June 14th. Robert Louis Dreyfus. Now, when I heard the name...
I thought of Richard Dreyfus, but I didn't...
I thought of the Dreyfus Funds. You know, there's a Dreyfus Fund. That's what I thought it was, which was Julia Louise Dreyfus, right?
Yeah.
There's a Julia Louis Dreyfus.
I always say Julia Louis.
Yeah. So anyway, this is Robert Louis Dreyfus, and he's a French businessman who had major success as a chief executive officer at Adidas, which is the sports line of clothing, of course, and Salomon, which is also one of my favorite. It's kind of under the radar, running and track sort of clothing. They also do lots with skiing.
You said Adidas?
Adidas. He was chief executive officer at Adidas and Salomon. Also, he was chief executive at Saatchi & Saatchi. He was also the majority shareholder of a French football team, Olympique de Marseille.
Hey, for non-French, say that again. I dare you to say that again.
Olympique. Now you see me mess it up. Olympique de Marseille.
Our old French high school teacher would have you.
Il est dans la lune
for that.
So he invested $400,000 in a pharmaceutical company, IMS, and ended up making 10 times that amount 20 times the amount when he left in '98. And he also proved equally successful, they said, with Adidas and slimming the product line, adding golf, da-da-da-da-da. His family-owned business, though, where he came from, is this Dreyfus Company, Louis Dreyfus Company. It's a global merchant firm that's involved in agriculture, food processing, international shipping, and finance. They also manage hedge funds, ocean vessels, telecommunications infrastructures, and also involved in real estate. And they're part of, the Archer, Daniels, Midland, Cargill.
AMD.
It's one of those sort of companies.
Okay, conglomerate.
A conglomerate. So they are the world's largest purveyor or trader in cotton and rice. They control 10% of the world's agriculture. They're also the third biggest trader of copper, zinc, and lead. It's a $120 billion company. That's where he works now. No, he doesn't work anymore. He died.
Well, I was going to say, you have him...
Yeah, he's dead. So
that's where he worked.
That's where he worked before he died. He died of leukemia in
it's an early age.
In 2009 on the 4th of July, which is too bad, but he was German, so he didn't really celebrate the 4th. And he was also wound up, he got involved with the World Cup scandal back in '06. He put 10 million francs into the World Cup, FIFA World Cup, to have them do the events in Germany. And the Brits got, it was a campaign against England, essentially. Anyway, he got caught. So he was tied up in that whole scandal of payoff as to which country would get
FIFA
World Cup. So that's happy birthday, Richard Louis Dreyfus.
Not bad. All right. Another partner of ours here on the Focus Group is Deep Discount. Deep Discount can be visited by going to our site, focusgroupradio.com, and click on the shark logo. And I have to do it because I love this. It's a pirate. For some reason, I do it when I see the shark. I do not know why. It's a tick. We love working with them. And month of June is the site-wide sale, one of our favorite months, because anything you want to buy is going to be a big percentage off. So actually, we recommended a few weeks ago that if you had things in mind, wait to June, put them in your basket, and then start shopping now.
Shop.
Now, last week, Tim surprised me by really upping the ante on selecting his favorite movies from the site, and you went to like the top movies of America. And last week,
I shop with a purpose.
I still laugh about. I heard that in the car when I was listening to the show on Sunday, and I'm shopping with a. I usually shop with a purpose too when I go to the grocery store. I want food. That's a purpose, right? So, so this week I decided to up my game as well, and I thought I'm going to look at documentary category.
So I love that category.
It's a site-wide sale. It's June is Pride Month. Happy Pride! The leprechaun popped out. And so the first movie that I would recommend is it's a sobering documentary, and it's called How to Survive a Plague. And it's about the early years of the AIDS epidemic and the people that helped bring awareness to it and government change and eventually funding. And these same people founded ACT UP, God's Love We Deliver, huge organizations around the country, and basically took it to the next level in terms of public attention. It's a very, very good documentary, available on Blu-ray. My next pick for documentaries, I love this movie, and I loved her because she's one of these Hollywood stars that have done theater and movie, and it's just called Elaine Stritch, Shoot Me. It's a very, very fun documentary. It follows her around as she's doing shows, and there's a lot of asides and comments. Did you see it?
I saw parts of it.
Did you like it?
Yeah. Well, I like her because she's no holds barred.
No hold barred. Yeah, she says what she says.
So as John mentioned, I picked, my thought was during the sale is time to replenish your library. A lot of us give things away to people and they never come back.
Yep.
So I thought, well, this is a good time for you to catch up during the summer sale at deep discount. Be sure, as John says, to go to focusgroupradio.com, click on the deep discount logo and shop so we get credit for it. Last week I picked Citizen Kane, known to be the #1 movie ever.
And you picked Auntie Mame starring Rosalind Russell, which your gay card should be taken away because you've never seen that movie.
Right, but I picked movies that every gay man should own and every LGBT person should own, and movies that were the top of the 20th century. What was the #2 movie in the 20th century, or did you look ahead?
I did not look ahead.
The Godfather.
Oh, my. Well, okay, so I have a bone to pick with that. I would actually say The Godfather 2.
Well,
okay.
you have a number of options. So they have so many different options at deep discount to pick. I just picked the first one. It's a 45th anniversary edition. It's on Blu-ray for under $10. It's $9.51. And it's funny. Paramount Pictures bought the rights for back in the 70s for $80,000. The Godfather. But
Think about that.
You can buy a trilogy. You can buy a number of things, DVD or on Blu-ray, and I don't think it needs any more discussion. One of our listeners, though, when I mentioned the gay movies that I think everybody should have, I was going to, All About Eve, Sunset Boulevard, all that sort of stuff. This is from Criterion, part of the Criterion collection, and it's called Weekend. Did you ever hear about it? So Mark in Annapolis sent me a note after he heard I was doing this thing about LGBT movies.
What year is this?
So it came out in 2011. It's 97 minutes long. It's about two guys have a one-night stand, and they end up having this unbelievable
very intense
connection.
Relationship, right?
And one guy, so this is Friday night. On Sunday, the one guy's leaving to go to the States for 2 years to go to art school. And so it's a romantic drama, but it's obviously Criterion, so it's got a little bit of probably a film noir to it. I guess, is that the right?
No. It's film noir would be like shadows and
no
and mystery. No, there's no mystery. This is like an intense little love affair that starts up with each.
Yeah, and it's I watched the trailer. I'm not so sure I would dig right in, but
I do remember when it came out. Now,
but I do. Mark spoke so highly of it that I would give it a try. He said
that's what the site-wide sale's for.
He said he went to deep discount. He was surprised. He's been looking for it forever. It had limited release, and it is there on DVD and Blu-ray. So he said he was surprised to find it at deep discount.
All right. So that was The Weekend, right? Or Weekend.
Yeah.
The release this week, because Deep Discount always has a release we want you to check out as well, is in the theme of Gay Pride Month. Happy Pride! Is a movie that I have on my list, which I do need to see. Everybody I know who's seen it liked it a lot, and it's called Love, Simon. And I think what's so amazing about me talking about this right now in 2018 is we're talking about a young gay high school student who starts having a text and email exchange with. He didn't want his friends to know he was gay, but he starts having this exchange with another student. Someone finds out about it. They publish the emails and the stuff. Then he has to come out and be proud of who he is, and his friends stand by him. But what an amazing thing that we live in an era that could happen. It's counterbalanced by all the other stuff that's going on too. But
John Hughes
loves Simon.
It's a John Hughes-esque coming-of-age story, is
Exactly.
how I looked at it. So be sure to head over. It's a summer-wide sale. There's thousands and thousands of titles and
so what we go
other
over
types of items. What's that?
Recap.
So what were your two that you recommended?
A documentary about the AIDS epidemic called How to Survive a Plague. It's a must-see. It's an amazing documentary. Elaine Stritch is much lighter fare. It's about actress Elaine Stritch. Tim, you picked?
I picked The Godfather and Weekend, and the new release is Love, Simon on Blu-ray. Be sure to go to focusgroupradio.com, click on the deep discount logo, because we like to get credit. So, right, Garrett?
Thanks, Deep Discount.
He's waiting for that Oreo cookie.
So stay with us. We're going to come back and do a very, very brief shop talk, and then we're going to have a visit with our friends from Equality Vodka. So stay with us.
Brought to you by Volkswagen. Visit VW.com to learn more. Focus on the savvy side of 9 to 5 with the Focus Group.
Try, really try.
Listen, laugh, and learn with Tim and John.
I never try anything. I just do it.
Hey, welcome back to the Focus Group. John Nash with Tim Bennett. FocusGroupRadio.com is the only site you need to learn all about us. Audio, video, the whole Megillah. And I was just telling Tim that we need to take a picture with him in front of the Norman Vincent Peale statue at his church on, whatever that thing is on Fifth Avenue. Try, really try. Which reminds me, there was another Grey Gardens-ish movie featuring the Beals that's out now. It's called That Summer. We both watched it. I have to watch it again. And by the way, if you're a Grey Gardens fan, Tim taught me something. I always learn something new from Tim. Turn on the subtitles. It changes the movie completely because
then you can follow along all the talking over.
All right, shop talk. Tim and I were talking yesterday in preparation for the show, and he put me wise to this article. This was a surprise to me. NFL, NBA, NHL, MLB, and WNBA, in other words, all the major sports leagues have a presence in the New York City Pride March at the end of the month, and I was really surprised by that. I mean, some of them have marched before, but this is all of them, right?
Yeah, and what surprised me is hockey has marched before, and hockey is also going to the NHL, is also going to be a Toronto Pride and Montreal Pride, but they're the second year in New York City Pride. Somebody has labeled this year's New York Pride as being the sportiest and jockiest Pride ever. And they mentioned some of the NFL and some of the baseball folks. Obviously, Billy Beane is famous, but it is the first time that the NFL and Major League Baseball are going to march. What I wasn't surprised about the WNBA, because even back when you and I were doing our work with Subaru, they were the very first league to recognize not only their LGBT fans but also their players.
Their players, yeah.
So they were way ahead of the game before anybody else. So it's good. It's good to see, though. And then who's the Grand Marshal?
Oh, I didn't even check out the Grand Marshal. No.
Yes, who would be the sporty Grand Marshal in New York? A lady with a racket.
Oh, Billie Jean King.
Billie Jean King. Michael Jackson did a song
Billie
about
Jean
her.
King. Yeah, that's right.
She's the Grand Marshal of the parade. So they say it's going to be lots of sports in the streets of Manhattan.
I just have nothing but good things to say about this because, major league sports are a huge draw for a lot of people in terms of their fandom, in terms of watching the television. And, it's like the more exposure people have to this and the more they normalize this, like this is our fans, these are our players, they're role models. I think it's great. And it's a nice counterbalance to everything we've been talking about for the craziness for the last several months and weeks now.
So we just wanted to point that out. Not that everybody gets to go to New York Pride, but it really is the granddaddy of all the parades. And so it's good to see that these major league teams are recognizing they're participating this year.
Agreed.
So, hey, we're going to take a quick break and set up. We've got to set up for the folks from Equality Vodka are going to be here and learn about their agenda, which is simply that equality for all.
For all.
Simple agenda. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Brought to you by Volkswagen. Visit VW.com to learn more. Focus on the savvy side of 9 to 5 with the Focus Group.
Been in business a week. I got more money than I know what to do with.
Listen, laugh, and learn with Tim and John.
Herrera Rocher. He is doing well.
We're going to talk about that. Hey, welcome back to the Focus Group. John Nash sitting right next to my good friend and co-host Tim Bennett. First things first is equalityvodka.com.
Yes.
I would urge you to visit their site pronto and check out the video. It's front and center. It's on the homepage. It does a wonderful job of explaining the thought process behind the vodka and how you guys are sitting here today. But we're going to go into that anyway. But first of all, nicely done, nicely done. So, Tim, why don't you kick off?
Oh, you're going to throw it in my way.
No pressure.
See, so Kara has brought us a number of great spirits over the years, and this is the first one I'm present for.
I know. I really didn't believe it existed anymore.
So thanks for coming. Where are you guys from?
Texas.
Texas. So Dallas, Houston,
I'm
Austin.
in Dallas right now, and Doug actually is out in California right now.
I grew up in San Antonio. I live out between Palm Springs and Joshua Tree.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's beautiful.
I love that area.
High desert.
Area.
Texas is our biggest audience, if you can believe it. Yes, it is, and it has been for 10 years. We started on satellite radio, and our Texas audience continues to grow. We don't know why.
That's
sometimes
fascinating.
I was going to say it's a head scratcher. Yeah,
we're both Northeast guys, and
during the demographic. Yeah,
I don't think so.
No?
I think the conservative nature of the state brings people with liberal thoughts together. And
I like that.
It has made, like Lambda Legal is somebody we've done a lot of work with, and their Dallas chapter is extremely active, and it's because it's a necessity. You know, if you being in California right now, it's such a liberal environment. It's just bizarre how comfortable everybody is after coming from a state where people are very often less than comfortable because of the conservative politics.
And the stuff that's going on at the State House, which.
So that's an interesting thing. So Equality Vodka. Before we get into kind of I don't want to call it the elephant in the room, but how did the idea come about, and what was the impetus for you guys to do the vodka?
Well, it kind of starting at the beginning a million years ago. I always say it's interesting. You never know where life's going to take you. And sometimes if you look back and go, you're going to be doing this in 10 years, you're like, there's no way that's going to happen. And how it started was...
So true.
Doug and I, we met at a sales job, and we started doing some freelance work, creative work. We both had ad backgrounds. And we were burning the midnight oil and working in Doug's, as we called it, the Garage Mahal at the time. And we took the leap of faith. It's like, all right, we got to either do this full time or take, some other segue and figure out, just work on our job. We decided to take the leap of faith. So we opened up kind of a small boutique ad agency. We'd do a lot of overflow work for a lot of places in San Antonio at the time that couldn't get things done. We would do their extra work. And then we launched a magazine that was kind of an events society, stuff going on in the city. And one of our advertisers was a national brand. And we thought, wow. And they paid full pop for the back page. Like, no one ever pays rate card, which was...
We have a suspicion of who that is, by the way, because I've done business with a similar brand who insisted on back page.
Then maybe you know.
Perhaps it begins with an A, but anyway.
But we started working with them, and it was really kind of fascinating. And we kind of got intrigued by the whole idea. So I started doing some research, and Doug and I started talking about it. And it's funny, I always joke, you can go online and find out how to do anything. But the inner workings of the spirits world were like some of the best kept secrets. Nothing's ever written. No one ever says anything about it. So we kind of started pressing forward. And as Doug actually coined it this, we call it our PhD program. We launched a small brand that was just kind of a way for us to learn the ins and outs and, the 3-tier system and how things work, and the fact that you make the product, you own the product, but you can't distribute it yourself. So that was, our learning process. And through that, I got connected with the people at Lambda Legal in Dallas. And that was really the impetus for this whole thing. So at the time, this was, I think, back in 08, 09, something like that?
09.
They had approached us and said, we're kind of putting together our quarterly mixers. We really need some help. Alcohol is always a big draw. Mm-hmm. Can you help us kind of get this kicked off? So I called Doug. I said, hey, I got approached by this. What do you think? And he's like, oh, my God, you got to do it, you know. And at the time, I didn't realize what Lambda was or what they did. I do now. I know a whole lot more.
That's interesting. All right.
And met some amazing people and amazing friends. And you start learning especially in Texas, because Texas is a right-to-work state. And that was like one of the biggest throws of cold water in my face, which is a legal way to discriminate against you. So basically, you can come in a hero on Monday, but they find out something about you on Wednesday they don't like, they can get rid of you. And that was just a head-scratcher. So I remember I would tell Doug, he's like, oh, yeah, and Doug would, you know, he's had a little more history than I have and would tell me all these crazy things.
So you developed this vodka, and so it's vodka with a purpose, I guess, because it gives a portion of your sales to
20% of the gross profit.
20%, wow, to LGBT organizations. And the interesting thing about you two, we found out right before you came on, you guys are allies.
Right.
You're not even gay.
Right.
I grew up in arts, in theater and fine art. And so, unbeknownst to me in high school back in the 60s, the majority of my friends were gay, and I didn't have a clue because
they might not have either, but
nobody was out.
We're allowed to be, yeah.
And then you step out into college, and there's that separation from family, and then who people were came out, and it never made any difference. It was just my friends. I went in the Air Force. I had a really close friend who was gay. He was in a relationship. We were stationed in a small town in Arkansas. He was in a relationship with someone. They broke up, and he started blackmailing him because at that point in time, you went to jail if it turned out you were LGBT. He volunteered for Vietnam, didn't come home. Walking anyway. He came home and
wow.
He was killed in Vietnam. And so my dedication to changing what was happening within the LGBT community started then. Wow. I moved to West Hollywood in
also known as Ground Zero, right?
in the 80s.
Besides, like the Castro, West Hollywood, Christopher Street.
Better than us.
Right. Yeah. So I moved to Palm between Santa Monica and Sunset in West Hollywood in the mid 80s, and there again, my friends were all LGBT, and I watched what happened with HIV, and so at that point in time, I made up my mind someday I would do something that started correcting all the inequities that I saw, that I didn't have the finances or history to be able to do those things then. And when Bert and I started working together, the first thing we did was the LGBT Center in San Antonio. We worked with the AIDS Foundation, putting on fashion shows, helping them do that. And then when Bert called me and said, Lambda Legal needs help, I'm like, jump on that. That is like, these are the greatest people ever.
It's a big leap, though, from being an ally of the community and doing fundraisers or contributing in any way you possibly could to manufacturing a product. That's a fairly big step. It's like, when someone says the first step's a big one, be careful.
Right.
Well, the big step was the landmark dinners every year that they did. They would have people come and speak. And I would watch him, listen to him speak, and tear up because of the stories that they told, of everything they were going through.
And one year, it was a couple, two gentlemen wanted to adopt a child. And I always get it confused. I think they were from the north. They came down to the south to adopt a child.
Right.
And, you could tell this kid's going to have an amazing life, So they do everything right. They have the attorney. They go through the paperwork. They have everything documented. They pick up the child 780 miles or whatever the distance was. They go back to their home state, and that home state will not recognize both of them as parents
on the birth certificate.
And then Louisiana wouldn't send them a birth certificate.
So people think, well, big deal. Well, it is, because this is the domino effect. It's like, okay, you can't get the child immunized because you can't get them registered. You can't register them from school. You can't get a passport. Yeah. So all these things start adding up, and you're sitting here listening going, okay, this is the United States. We're talking about distance here. One's okay with it. One's not. This makes no sense. And the biggest catalyst for me was, by this time, I had been working in Dallas for so long. I had made some great friends. And you start to realize this is saying it's okay for you, but it's not okay for you. And you know what? I know that person. That's an amazing person. And I think when people can start to put a face on it and start to put but wait, no, those are great people. Why wouldn't you do it? That's when change starts. And that particular year at that landmark dinner, at the end of the event, the MC for the evening got up and said, we're making great strides, but understand there's always someone behind us undoing everything we're doing. So it's like we're putting down pavement and they're picking it up. And part of what we need are funds to fight this. And that just stuck. The
next year, Lambda Legal gave Bert and I the Corporate Partners in Equality Award. And that involvement, distance can be miles or distance can be ideology. And so that distance was too great for us to accept. And, we go up to accept the award, and we're walking up there, and Bert goes, well, because I work Dallas more, they really know me better, so you should talk. And I'm like, there's no way. They know you. You do it. So he walks up and goes, y'all don't really know Doug, so I'm going to give him a chance to speak to y'all. I'm like, oh, okay. And we spoke. I just told the story. And all these, 500 plus people stood up and applauded and choked up. It was such a moving moment that after that, we were just committed. It was like, how are we going to do this?
Yes. So how long have you been around?
We launched in late 2014.
And distribution, because spirits is,
oh God,
talk about cutting your...
Yeah. So
I mean, you got lots of big guys coming after you.
What's so interesting about spirits was
shelf space. All about shelf space.
Right. And what's interesting about spirits is you kind of have to take the commitment. Well, backing up, when I first told Doug about, I one day literally walked into the office and said, I had an idea.
The video on your site actually has multiple label designs,
bottle
designs, and you ended up with this. But there's a couple that I liked as a designer myself. I'm like, but I think this is perfect what you got here.
Well, the day he walked in with it and said, let's do this, it was somebody handing you a key that you had walked around with a lock.
But now you know how to
no way to open it for 30 years. I was done. I was in.
The thing that I'm most intrigued by, a couple things. From a business point of view, the spirits community, specifically some of the big vodkas, have been supporters of the community for a long time. Now, what does that really mean? That means that they support our media.
Right.
Backpage, whatever it is. It's events where they're providing product. But it may not necessarily be a direct feedback to the community, but this is designed from the ground up to be literally going right back.
And that was something that to us meant so much, because there's so many nonprofits out there that say we give back, and at the end of the day, you say you literally made $800 million because you posted on your 501c3 statements, but you gave $10,000, you gave $100, and for us that was like, all right, we need to meet, because to us you can't use people. So for us, it was like, all right, from bottle one, the give is built in. So whether as a company we're doing fantastic or we're not, we already put that aside. So there's always a give. The give is dependent on how much we sell, but it's always there, because we don't want it beat up by some clever accountant or someone.
The give's built into the cost.
Okay.
So it's into the gross, not the net.
Right. Yeah.
I had a very short stint in the music business, and
so the
group I was working with signed what appeared to be a spectacular contract that was based on net profit.
Okay.
Everybody made money but the musicians, and it was like, this is
like
wrong.
Lucy Ethel salad dressing.
Yeah.
So
right for labor.
If you're gonna figure all that. What? So where can you get? Is this national?
So it's not national yet, and we're kind of getting back. I know we've been all over the place with this, but getting back to the whole distribution part of it. So part of it is you take the leap of faith. First was calling the attorney. He's like, Doug's like, you're never going to get that name. There's no way. I said, all right, let's see if we can get the website. So logged on, it's like, holy crap, you can get the website.
Okay, that's a good
got that. It's like, so we called the trademark attorney. He's like, give me a day or two. And he called us back. He's like, it's available. It's like, get it. So we got it. And then we started the kind of the formulation of working with it and working with a master distiller. And we looked at, okay, do we embark on trying to distill this ourselves? Well, one, we didn't really know. We know the mechanics behind it, but it's a science.
Oh, yeah.
People say it's so easy. Anything that'll ferment,
tell you
you
no.
can distill. No. Right.
So you get private label, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
so
that's
we worked
right.
with a master distiller. He helped us with our recipe. We knew kind of how we wanted to do it and the type of filtration we wanted to use in the water and things of that nature. They helped us really kind of tweak that and get to the ultra premium vodka we have. But you got to do all this, and then you got to take the bold step and go, now we got to find a distributor. And that was an undertaking because...
And continues to be.
Well, yeah, because I know years ago we had a gentleman named Iñaki Orozco, and his family owned an agave plantation down in Mexico, and they made tequila, and it was what's the Riazul tequila. It was store to store, and it was begging these guys to put and they had a square bottle. Are you getting pushback on bottle design at all? As long as it as long as it packs correctly, as long as it could be on the shelf correct. There's all these weird things they discovered about, and the bottle was taller than most, so it couldn't go.
Right.
It had to go on a different shelf. Eventually, I believe that they were acquired whole out by either Pernod Ricard or one of
they
the...
were?
One of the,
I didn't realize that because I was still trying to get the rights in PA. Hey, before we go any further, because time's always a thief, I see you've got a little shaker there, Kara. Are you going to let us sample some?
That's my job.
So you guys are in New York this week are you guys doing a media tour or telling people about what you're doing or what's...
A little of both. Talking to some stores, working on distribution while we're up here. New York is interesting. There's a platform that you can actually, if you're a licensed retailer or bar, you can go on libdib.com and order.
Happy noise.
That's always a happy noise.
Happy pride.
Happy pride.
And you can get it that way, but we're looking for more of the traditional distributor that can help us push the product out there.
And what's it retail for, a bottle?
We've seen it anywhere from $29 to $35, depending on city and state. So it's comparable to other ultra premiums.
For size and for quantity, yeah, that looks good.
Did you try some vodkas you didn't like?
Oh God, yeah. Oh God, yes.
Well, it's the squint factor.
This is just
when you try it and you can't speak correctly and you squint one eye, that's not one you want.
So you'll see this is going to be really bright up front and have a really nice soft finish. No burn or bite to it.
Yeah, there is no burn to it.
Not at all. Yeah.
And it's 80 proof. That's always the next question. It's like, is it 80 proof? It's like, yes, it's 80 proof.
It was funny. We had it backfired a little bit, but we didn't care. At the time, we had a vodka testing, and there was a vodka group on. And the guy was a bit pompous, and so we had Taka vodka, which was like $3 a bottle.
Right.
And then we had a $12 bottle, and then his $60 bottle, whatever.
Oh, wow.
And didn't Taka vodka win?
Taka won, hands down.
That hurts.
Because his tasted like rubbing alcohol, quite frankly. Remember how bad it was?
Yeah.
We bought...
This is not like that. So
we probably bought 25 vodkas. And we have some friends that are, shall we call, seasoned drinkers.
Pickled drinkers.
And so we gave them numbered glasses like the competitions and have them pick out the one they liked and write down why they liked it.
Wow.
And it was always what didn't bite them on the back
Thank
end.
you, Kara.
It never went away from that. It was that, how did it finish smooth? You know, to get the smooth finish, you lose a little of the taste on the front. That's just part of it. The taste on the front's an impurity. That's why you taste it.
So as advertising and marketing guys, it's a they're a multi-pronged problem. And there's always a good solution, but you can sell on taste and quality, and there's going to be one column of consumer that's doing that. You're going to definitely have a consumer that's buying only on price.
Right.
And this may never appeal, depending on depending on the sticking point of what the per bottle cost is. There's the social consumer. And in your video on your site, you talk about this as well with automotive brands, financial, and liquor and spirits, or spirits the same thing, spirits and wine. They will buy based on what that company's profile is in terms of how they face the community they're representing. In this case, what you give back to the LGBTQ community. Finding that magical intersection is interesting, and it could be I'm sure most of your markets are urban. Is that...
Correct.
Thank you.
So you're going to deal with big cities, and then you're going to have to do your secondary and tertiary markets. And at some point, a distributor will probably pick you up. But aren't there all these crazy things about how many they can have in a portfolio? Like if a distributor has 3 vodkas, they may not want a 4th.
It depends distributor to distributor. Yeah, we've got a great distributor in Texas. We're working with someone in Southern California that should be really great for us. And we actually have a great distributor in New Jersey. So it really comes down to letting people know what it is we do and why we do it. Because, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. I was going to say, but I would think the sell for you guys is that, as you said, the build is right into it as it's a niche product and that it actually has a purpose. It gives back to the community. And are there a number of organizations that you give money to, or you just work with Lambda Legal?
No, there's a number we do. So
nicely done, Kara.
Thank you. To date, we've worked with over 30, and it's in a myriad of ways. We'll take one. We like to recognize an organization within a geographic area in which we work. Dallas was our launch city, so Lambda was our first one in Dallas. Then in Austin, as we started to expand into Austin, we work with the Equality Alliance. We're actually getting ready to go into Houston, so we'll reach out to an organization in that area. We believe that the people that help to support us, we kind of want to help in that area. We recognize one as a major give, but then throughout the year we support with smaller donations, with products, sponsoring events. So to date, we've sponsored over 35 different organizations.
Excellent.
Yeah, with either product or financially, but primarily with product to help them. That way they're not purchasing something for their event that helps them raise more money.
Yep.
It works out for both of us that way. The distribution end is interesting in that when you show up on the radar of the major brands, there will be finances put behind you disappearing. Sure. And the only way that stops is when the demand within the community goes, that's not acceptable. You put it on the shelf, or we're not coming back to your bar, or we're not coming back to your store. And we've had that in certain areas where that demand just created that way. And
have you tried to cherry pick? So obviously West Hollywood, Provincetown, Mass, Rehoboth, Delaware, kind of these gay resort meccas. Can you do that, or do you have to go in by state when you're looking for distribution?
By state, yeah.
You go in by
Makes
state.
it tough to cherry pick cities.
But you cherry pick where you're really where you're working hard with your marketing dollars. Asbury Park has been strong for us. Palm Springs is strong.
Yep. I could have before my now my husband. It's so weird. It's so weird to say that, right?
Is this a Cosmo? What is it?
It's my version of
It's
a
delicious,
Cosmo.
is what it is. Just drink it. We used to go to Palm Springs all the time, and I was so enamored with the city of Palm Springs that we were almost going to buy a house out there. But that's inane. A plane is not a taxi, and a 6-hour flight.
It
could be, but a 6-hour flight to the West Coast plus an hour-and-a-half drive or whatever it is to get to the Springs does not a weekend make. That's called frustration. But we were so close. We ended up in upstate New York, which is beautiful. But that's a logical destination for this. Now, can consumers buy this online at all?
Not yet.
I think that's all regulation.
It is all regulated, and what happens is a lot of times if you see it online, a spirit online, they're working with someone in their geographic area that will fulfill that. So as we grow, we can do that. And if there's anyone out there listening,
sort of like the wine business does it as
wine
well.
can do it direct though. If you have a certain number that you can do direct, if you're a brewery and a wine, a vintner. So
it's the percentage of alcohol changes as you move into higher percentages of alcohol. Then the regulations go up.
So you guys have had quite the learning curve.
Oh,
There's
God,
the learning curve on not just package design, but actually getting the spirit to and finding the manufacturer, finding the private labeler who's going to do this, making sure they're hitting the standards. Then there's how much are you making?
Right.
So the private labeler wants to know, like, how many cases am I making?
Right.
What are you going to guarantee us?
How
and
about
this
5?
is all before you've ever sold one
bottle.
Right.
So we're out. I mean, we talk about a leap of faith and putting it out there. All our chips are in and on the table.
And full time.
And full time.
Full time. Yep.
And
so
I mean,
you're based in
Texas.
Texas. But is it Dallas or San Antonio?
We actually just started with a new distributor in Texas. Super excited. We're with Republic National, so we will be statewide as opposed to just a couple of cities. So
I can
really
see
excited.
some little town up in the what's that part of the state? The
Panhandle.
Amarillo.
Panhandle. We drove through it once.
What was it? McCain.
Yeah.
McCain.
Keep going. There's no Starbucks.
The Barbed Wire Museum.
No, really.
We did a cross country.
Was it McCain, Texas?
McLean, Texas.
It was the very first city when you cross from Oklahoma into Texas.
We did a cross country road trip in a VW Beetle, and we had Tim had picked a bunch of stuff. We get to Texas, and we were in the Panhandle, and there was the Barbed Wire Museum. We pull up; it's all dark. There's a Lincoln Continental.
It was right out of a movie because there were literally tumbleweeds and wild dogs running around.
Could you hear like
and the Barbed Wire Museum was there with an old Crown Vic in front and something else. And I drove by, and John, what are you doing? I said, we're not going to. Oh, yes, we are. So we went in. It was one of the highlights of the trip. The woman was.
As we walk in, someone sees us walk in. You hear ka-chunk, ka-chunk,
the lights on,
and all the lights from the museum. And it was a museum about barbed wire.
Wow! Did they have a gift shop?
They had a gift shop.
Oh,
they have a gift shop. Oh,
road trip.
They put it up on the monitor.
Yeah,
for us.
That's a bright day there. It was about 120 some degrees. We showed up and
it's in Devil's Rope Museum.
Yeah, that's
that.
That's the name of the
barbed
wire.
wire.
The Devil's Rope.
I'm not so sure your vodka would go well up there.
Well, I was going to say you're in the Panhandle. You have statewide distribution. But in air, someone walks in. I want a bottle of that Equality Vodka.
That's not to say there's not progressive people there, but
I agree.
The blue spots are probably our better spots.
In the book that you sign in, it said so and so Monte Carlo, so and so Paris, France, so and so Malta.
Right.
And John looks at it, and the woman's behind the desk. He goes, "Do you really believe these people came here?" And she looks at him. She goes, "No." Which meant, of course they were here.
I got a great picture of her too.
Yeah. And it was, but if you get a chance up that way,
I'll have to.
you have to stop. Stop, even though it doesn't look that inviting.
So for one of your goals would be to raise awareness of this in general. And
absolutely.
And visiting with us today is a fantastic thing, and I want to encourage all our listeners to check out the Equality Vodka website. A lot of what we've heard today from the two of you is in that video. It's a beautiful video. I think it's like 16 minutes long.
11.
Oh, all right.
Give or take.
You were talking about markets and who we were reaching out to. Millennials have been incredibly accepting. We expected it, but we didn't expect it the way it really came about. They're so. It's to me, a kid from the 60s, to see people actually having a conscience about how they purchase and what they do and who they stand for has been very touching.
Well, you guys have what we call the bona fides. When I owned, both my ad agencies used to do specifically LGBT outreach for blue chip companies. Tim was at Subaru of America, and we worked on the 15-year campaign that they did, the historic campaign.
Yeah.
I've worked with Absolute, Diet Pepsi, pharmaceuticals, and when we sat with clients, this notion of the backstory mattered a great deal to the consumer. So the bona fides of what you're doing is right up there. From the ground up, you've constructed something to definitely benefit a group of people.
It's the real thing.
It's the real thing. It's
Thank
not.
you.
It's not just someone saying, "Oh, we offer domestic partnership benefits."
Right.
It's we're taking money from not the net.
From the gross.
Right.
The gross, which is for accounting.
There's a big difference.
Accounting wise, we know that that's a big thing because net is all these expenses.
Right.
And we're down to a penny.
Right.
Thank you so much.
It's like the words on the back of the bottle. We worked at that, and I had it down to about 4 pages. That probably wasn't going to go.
It's like we've got this much.
That's not an elevator pitch.
Right.
That is not an elevator pitch.
Well, listen, we want to. Time's a thief for us here. We always say, but we want to thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Be sure to go to, is it equalityvodka.com or equality.com?
EqualityVodka.com.
EqualityVodka.com. Also on our Facebook page at Focus Group Radio, we have a link to the Facebook site as well. And John mentioned that there are a number of videos at the website, but there are also many more at the on your social media at your Facebook page. So if you can go right directly to their Facebook page, or you could go through our site as well and check them out.
But we don't steer people wrong, do we?
No,
we love spirits.
No,
this is great.
This
stuff.
is actually
We've been sampling
very
quietly.
good, cool bottle, fairly priced, and it's for a good cause, and it goes back to the LGBT community. So we really do appreciate that. So thanks for spending time with us.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Kara.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. We want to thank our friends at Man Great for their support of us here in the focus group, as well as Deep Discount. It's a summer-wide and site-wide sale going on right now. Be sure to go to focusgroupradio.com, click on the Deep Discount logo, John.
Arr, the shark, which is really a pirate.
Shopping away. And thanks to our friends at Volkswagen of America. Volkswagen has been with us now going through our 8th year. John and I have 3 road trips planned for later this year, so hopefully we'll be visiting a city near you. And as we say, don't text and drive, arrive alive. Happy Pride, John. Do your
Happy Pride.
There you go.
No, now it changes. Top of the Pride.
Top of the Pride. Now, there you go.
All right, Leprechaun.
It's the Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash. Formerly on Sirius XM satellite radio and now accessible on all platforms. Subscribe, like, and rate us on your platform of choice. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com.
That was a stunning focus group.